it's hard to find help, right? It's hard to find solutions. It's hard to navigate in life. Who's had that experience? No easy way. There's no easy way. And that was my story. I didn't know that I could change my life. And I know I have a few new people in here. I want to thank you for coming. Mr. Ramos, thank you for coming back and visiting us. He came for a while. And because this program is just get you started. And Mr. Ramos, in fact, I'll use him as an example, is perfect example. And now Angel, you just got here. Mr. Ramos came here about, I don't know, a year and a half ago? About a year ago. Same thing. But when you're ready to change your life, there's a saying that says, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And what that means is that there's teachers everywhere. When you're ready, right? When you're ready to move forward, to change your life, and that's what I hope to do when I go to the parole office, to find that one person that's ready. Because not everybody's ready. How many people did I speak to on Wednesday? About 35. How many people are here? 2. Were you at the parole office? There you go. 2 people. And that's awesome. That's incredible. And many of us started there. I personally started at the parole office. 22 years ago when I walked out of prison. And I really get excited when I'm right here. This is where I get excited. I think my son hears me talk more when I get behind a pulpit than any other place. I see him all day at home. We see him a lot of each other, and we don't say much to each other. Hey, son, how you doing? How's school? See you later. And I wonder if he wonders, man, but when my dad gets in front of the pulpit, it's like he's excited. I am. It's like I'm trying to build my own life too. But it's nothing like trying to help others build theirs. There's nothing like it. And that's why I'm here. So I'm so glad that you're here, guys. And just a quick review of what we do here. You're at the 90-day reentry program is what you're sitting in. You're sitting in what I call the 90-day reentry program. And when I say reentry, I use that word because of the parole office. People coming out of parole. But maybe you're just coming out of a wild life. Backslidden, confused, drug addiction, and you're ready to change your alcoholism, right? And you're just ready to change your life, then you're welcome here. And we can move forward. And we're all going to re-enter into this new life, right? Trying to change our life. This is what the gospel of Jesus Christ offers us, a new life. I tell people all the time that when I started my journey 29 years ago in a prison cell, I wasn't looking for easy. I was looking for possible, right? And I believe that many of us here, that's what you're looking for, possibilities. And that's what God offers us. And so then what I learned in the last 29 years is that there's a process to change. And that there's certain ingredients that you need to, or key elements about change that you need to start working on. And if you start working on these things, your life will start getting better and you start making better decisions. And this is what this little steps are all about. It all starts with desire, wanting to change your life, wanting a better life, wanting to move forward, wanting to be a new creation, like the Bible says. So you're going to need faith, which is the second core element. You need faith. You're going to need faith to build upon, to move forward, because it doesn't happen overnight. Things get hard. There's challenges that are going to come. Not everybody's going to open a door for you. Not everybody's going to care, right? Nobody's going to care. Oh, are you going to church? Great. That's good for you. Nobody's going to throw you a party. You're going to need faith for yourself. Faith in God, faith in Jesus Christ, faith in yourself, faith in the process. And then you move on to the harder parts, which is what we're going to continue today. mindset. You have to start working on your mindset. That's the core. That's why I put the heart. That's the heart of change right there. Your mind. I teach, if you can change your mind, you can change your life. If you can change the way you think, you can change your destiny. That's just how it is. So we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. And then, and why that's so important, again, I'm giving you the elements of change. Not the only ones, but if you start working on these, it'll change your life. The reason why your mindset is so important is because it affects your attitude. You need to change your attitude. How many know that you needed to change your attitude? See, this is not rocket science, guys. But we don't know this because we're so lost in this world. What else has to change in your life? What other? Habits. What else has to change in your life? There you go. Man, we learned something. Your lifestyle. There's some people that want to change their life, but they don't want to change their lifestyle. You can't do that. Todos quieren ir a los parties allá con los homeboys y allá, van a pistear y a hacer party. No, yo no voy a pistear, no me voy a descamarar. I wouldn't do it. It just, it just won't work. You have to change your lifestyle. And once in a while, you got to look at your results. Because you want to go somewhere, man. You look at your results, you look at your life, you look at yourself. Am I on the right road? Am I doing good? You know what? I think I'll go to the next level, like start my own business. Remember, brother? It's powerful. Powerful, man. Because you can't build. You don't go to the top overnight. That's what you're doing, right, brother? It's a process, man. And this is what this is. The process of change. This is what this is all about. So any questions on that note? Amen. So today I'm going to continue with mindset. We're on the mindset. Every 90 days I go through the same thing. Every 90 days. I already started with desire. We already went through faith a little bit. We're on the second part, mindset, part 2. I'm going to give you some perspective on why mindset is so important. I take a lot of time on mindset because it's huge. Would you agree, Mr. Ramos? It's huge. Your mind is huge. We're twisted people. Men, especially us men. We're twisted individuals. And we don't think so. And what I was teaching last week was about how the mind, how we have, just to give you an overview, we're talking about the mind has two parts, a subconscious and a conscious mind. A subconscious and a conscious mind. The subconscious is 90% of your brain. The conscious is 10%, just the smaller part. The conscious mind is what you're doing right now. You're alive. You're listening to me. You're conscious. That's vivo. You're listening. You're watching. You can feel. You can smell. You're conscious. That part of your brain is 10 to 15%. It's a small part. Because when you go to sleep, the subconscious keeps working. And that's the biggest part. The biggest part of your brain, your mind, is your subconscious. It's everything you've been through, everything happened to you in prison, everything that happened to you throughout the years you were in prison, everything that happened to you when you were young, everything you've seen, heard, felt is in your subconscious mind. And so for most people, for all of us, that's the part of our mind. Well, for all of us, that's the part of the mind that guides our life. It's called perspective. And I'm going to get more into that here in a minute. And what I shared with you last week was that in order to change, well, let me read it. An overview of the subconscious mind. This is the reason you are the way you are, why you act the way you act, why you feel the way you feel. It's because of your subconscious mind. You are programmed or brainwashed, and you don't even know it. And what we're trying to do when we're changing our life is to reprogram. our mind, to reprogram our thoughts. Because you're more calm now, Leon, right? But before, you wanted to kill people. Only because I know about you. You know, he had to calm down and learn that, wait a minute, I don't think that's a good idea. So we have to reprogram our mind. That's literally what we have to do, right? Many of us were full of pride or are full of pride. We have to reprogram. And so then willpower will only go so far, right? Kind of like what Pastor preached about this Sunday. We think we got this, we get, and boom, you fall flat on your face. You get overloaded. You get anxious. You get confused. You feel lost. You feel depressed. You have to learn to. But anyway, this is why it's so hard to break habits. This is why it's so hard to change our lives, to stay sober, because we have to reprogram. So this is important to understand, and the reason I spend so much time on it is because the bottom line that it is that if we are to change our lives and continue growing as men, women, if we are finally going to change our life forever, make your life better, we're going to have to reprogram our minds, meaning we have to reprogram our subconscious. So last week, I started on the 5 stages or the 5 steps that I've used for the last 29 years. I still use them. Right now, I'm studying addiction because I'm going to be doing presentations on addiction and recovery. And I'm always reprogramming my mind. And I told you that there's 5 steps to reprogram your mind. Number 1, you have to protect your mind. We went over it last week. That's the first step. You have to stop the junk, stop the mess coming in. You can't change your life and still be listening to all this crazy, kill cops rap music. You can't. You just can't. You have to change los corridos de que. You have to stop it. That makes sense or no? You have to stop it. So that was Proverbs 4:23. More than anything else, guard and protect your mind, your heart. So we have to protect our mind. The second thing you have to do is start feeding your mind, which is why you're here. We start learning things. We start listening to different music. I would recommend classical music. Something, Christian music. Something calmao. Slow down. Start reading your Bible. Read a book on mindset, on family, on something. You remember, you're trying to feed your mind now. Because really what you're trying to do is suppress the old and replace it with the new. That's how you do it. You got to stop the junk. Feed the mind. Nowadays, it's so easy. Just turn on your phone, boom, you have something good. The problem is you also have a lot of bad. And so then this thing is a two-edged sword. It can kill you or it can change your life forever. Same thing. It's like money. Same thing. You can use it for good or evil. I listen to books. I'm telling you, I'm researching right now. I go walking and I'm listening to my book and taking notes. That's what I like doing because I know that that's what's going to take me forward. So you got to feed your mind. And I think that's where we left off last week, feeding your mind. Now, I'll give you a scripture on this. Paul the Apostle said like this, and Philippians 4:8, he said, "Finally, my brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are honest, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, if there's any praiseworthy or if there are good reports in these things," he says, think on these things. There's a reason for it. We're trying to live a different life. So you need to reprogram your mind. So the third thing, yes, sir. Somebody, will you hand me a water, please?
You mentioned at the start, like kind of like brainwashing, right? We change the way you think and everything. And it's funny, because when we think of when coming to church and serving the Lord, you go to the church, they're gonna brainwash you. You know what? No, it's not it's what you just mentioned right now. No, all those things that Paul says right on the scripture. That's really changing the way you see things, the way you do things now, totally different. And thank God, like for myself, they told me that. No, they brainwashed you in the church. Well, thank God they did. Mm-hmm. That's what you think, because everything that was in here when I came in was a bunch of junk.
Yep.
And God changed the way that I see things, the way that I do things. So really, it's not even brainwashing. It's the way
it's reprogramming.
Reprogramming. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Which means brainwashing. You have to wash it. I'm serious. So protect your mind, feed your mind. The next thing to do is to get involved. That's why I'm so glad to see you guys. You need to get involved, because there's so many people that, again, they want to change their life, but they want to do it by themselves. You can't do it. You won't do it. You're not going to do it. I promise you, you're not going to do it. Because for most of us, we have like this weight that's pulling, or something pulling us, which is our past. It's pulling you. And it's you're part of what we're doing is trying to cut these ties that we have from our past, these demons from our past. Drug addiction and alcoholism, they're demons, they're spirits, and they got you. And so then, solo, it's like a sheep by himself. This is why the Bible teaches us about how the sheep, the shepherd, he loses one and he leaves the 100 to go find the one, because the 100 juntos, they're protected, but the one, he's going to be eaten alive. And that's what happens to us. This world, this drug addiction, alcoholism, this world will eat you alive. And I don't care how big and tough you think you are. I remember my favorite mentor, Rocky Balboa. Life will hit you so hard, nothing hits like life hits. Nothing. It'll hit you, and it will beat you down and keep you there if you let it. Why do you think it's so hard to get up? And try to, because life has beat you down, son. Alcoholism has beat you down. Drug addiction has beat you down. The prison system, our age, has beat us down. And what you find out is it's not about how hard you can hit, right? That's what my mentor, Rocky Balboa, says. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep going. How far you can get hit and keep getting up and keep going. And this is what this is all about. You know, today as I had this conversation with Adriana, she was getting frustrated because she goes to the parole office or to the rehab, a detox. She goes to a detox, and she says, she's speaking to these ladies every week, and nobody shows up at the class. Nobody comes to church. Nobody. I said, because if it were easy, everybody would show up. It's not easy. Having just you men here, this didn't happen overnight. One at a time came. Started believing for their lives. God moves. I was doing my job, God starts doing his. But thank God that you're here and that you're involved, which is what I'm talking about. You need to get involved. Bible study, we have Bible study, we have church, we have this class, we have revivals, we have outreaches, People starts bands. There's all kinds of things you can get involved in. We just started a new support group for family members. This is where you start learning and growing, where you start seeing things differently, where you start learning what it means to serve, building new relationships. You know, I met brother years ago, Leon Garcia. Now he's my friend. I met Hugo years ago. Now he's my friend. Mr. Ramos, Jesse. Trying to remember your name that I always forget. But that's why I skip you over. I kept on calling him something else for the longest, no? Yeah, Johnny. You know, we get involved, and we start building. Which leads me to the next key or step. Remember, there's 5. Protect, feed your brain, get involved, associations. Friends, man, that's huge. Friends is huge. Remember the friends? They told you they were going to kill you. Those were the friends you had. That's crazy. It's insane. But they were your friends. So associations, you know, I really, I'm big on associations and friends. I don't know if you all remember this, but I remember my mom used to tell me, who knows that quote? Dime con quién te juntas y te diré quién eres. And when you're young, you're like, wow, what does that mean? Tell me who you're hanging with, and I'll tell you who you are. And it's so true. It's so true. Listen to this. I love sharing this statistic. It's about this social psychologist named Dr. David McAllen. Listen to what he says about friends, about associations, and how important they are. This is huge. If you can just get a hold of this little piece of information when it comes to friends, it'll change your life. It says, your reference group, your friends, will determine, not might, not could, will determine 95% of your success or failure in life, period. Think about that for a minute. The people you hang around with, the people, in fact, it goes on to say, David goes on to say that your choice in friends, whom you choose to associate with, is more important in determining your success or failure in life than any other single factor. That's huge. That is huge. That's how it works. That's why I like sharing that. I mean, that is mind-boggling. If you can just get a hold of that, you need to start saying, man, that guy, I'm going to cut that guy off. I'm cutting that guy off. One friend of mine said, man, but she's my mother. I said, cut her off. No, but true story. True story. His mother was a heroin addict. And he grew up not knowing his mother. His mother started showing up now that he's changed and successful and has kids. But she'd come around and she was a bad influence for his kids. And I told him, and he literally had to tell her, Mom, you can't come around here no more. You can't. I mean, I have kids, I have family. I'm in church. A few years ago, he had to go identify her because she had been found with a needle in her arm, dead. Point is, friends, they make a major difference. Sometimes you want to help a friend, right? But you can only do so much. Because they're either going to influence you or you're going to influence them. One of the two. And I learned this a long time ago. And today I have friends that lift me up, that pray for me, that believe in me, that help me, that are friends. And I didn't know all this stuff. I didn't know. Paul, the apostle, said in 1 Corinthians 5:11, he says, "But I know, and I have written to you not to keep company with anybody that's named who says he's a brother, but he's sexually immoral. He is sexually immoral. He's a covetousness. He's an idolater. He's a railer. He's a drunkard, or extortioner, or a liar." He says, don't even eat with such a person. El Paul, córtalo. That's how it is. And lastly, the last thing that we have to start doing, remember, we're trying to figure out, I'm telling you about how do you renew your mind. Because renewing your mind starts changing your life. The last thing we need to do is put some kind of prayer and meditation and gratitude into your life. Prayer and gratitude is what I have here. Prayer and gratitude, I believe with all my heart that they go together. Prayer and gratitude. So what do I mean by that? Listen to what Paul said, the Apostle Paul, in Philippians 4:6. Listen to what he said. He said, be anxious for nothing. Nothing. In other words, don't worry about anything. See, he says, but in everything, through prayer and medication, no, not medication. Through prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving. He adds that. With thanksgiving. In other words, be grateful. Let your requests be made known to God in everything in prayer. Let your requests be made known to God in everything by prayer. Prayer and thanksgiving. This idea of being grateful. For years I told my family, my kids, my daughters, my son, about being grateful. Grateful for the bed you sleep in. Grateful for the shoes you have. Grateful for the food you have. Grateful for the mother you have. Grateful for whatever. There's plenty of things to be grateful for, because there's plenty of things that will bring you down. Right? Because life hits hard. And things will bring you down. But gratitude, there's just something about gratitude. Being thankful for what we have. Because if we focus, and this is why so many people are depressed and lonely, because they focus on what they don't have, right? And for many of us, I'll be brutally honest with us here. For many of us, I tell people, the problem is that we made a mess of our lives, right? We made a mess of our lives. We're older. It's not easy anymore. It's not as easy as it was when we were 20 and 30. Now we're 40 and 50, and it's not easy anymore. Now we have we're full of regret and anger and frustration, and it's hard. You have all this weight pulling you, or these ideas and these thoughts from your past, and so it's hard. And so then that's why most people give up. This is why this we have plenty of people today. This is awesome. But sometimes there's just 2 or 3 people here. Why? Because there's no easy way. You literally have to claw your way out of the mess that we created just to be normal. Right, Leon? Yeah. And it's hard. Son, you just got out of prison. You know, and I'm going to say this because I know Mr. Ramos won't mind. He's 60-something years old. He finally looked at himself and says, man, what have I done with my life? I thought I was going to be young forever. We don't say that, but we act like that, right? And that's why I was so amazed and proud and just inspired by Mr. Ramos. He finally said, because he'd come to the class 5 years ago. When he was 50, he wasn't ready. And last. Because he's finally believing. And sometimes I tell people, you might just have to settle for what you have. This is all you have. This is it. You can't go back no more. You're already 50, 60. That's it. I'm 63. That's it. I'm so glad that I saw this 30 years ago. I was 35 years old in prison. And I said, man, I got to do something. I had to pull myself up. And thank God that I did. Because other people didn't care. They didn't care I was changing my life. They were in their own little world. Nobody cared. Nobody threw me a party. You have to care. You have to believe. You have to fight. You have to do it. Because nobody's going to do it for me. I like what Eric Thomas said once. Eric Thomas. Anybody ever heard of Eric Thomas? He's a hip-hop preacher. You look him up, you'll like him. The black brother. Powerful speaker. He said he didn't have a daddy, he said. He's talking to a class. He said, I didn't have a daddy. My daddy left me. He didn't care about me. What was I supposed to do? Give up? That's what he said. What was I supposed to do? He said, Leon. He said, guess what? I used to think that daddy would come. Daddy never came. Man, I said, and these students are listening. Ooh, powerful speaker, man. And I found out that daddy ain't coming. That's what he's, and I'm like, whoa, that was powerful, man. And that's the same thing with us. There's some things in our lives that we're not going to get back. They're just not coming. And you're going to have to settle for some things. And I've had to do that. And move forward. And for me, what I found out, if I help someone else, which is the foundation of the gospel of Jesus Christ, if I help someone else, I learned this from Zig Ziglar. He said, help enough people get what they want, and you will always get what you want. Which is what we're really looking for, is peace of mind and hope and gratitude. I was looking for forgiveness. Anybody ever need some forgiveness? Man, I needed it. And when I found out that that's what Jesus Christ died on the cross for, it's crazy. It's a crazy story. What? What did he die for? To forgive me. I said, wow. And I didn't realize how powerful that was until I needed forgiveness. Until I needed forgiveness. And there was no money, there was no amount of money, there was no high-priced attorney, my mother couldn't help me, my father couldn't help me, nothing could help me deal with that monster inside of me except God's forgiveness. And I had to accept it. And unless I accepted it, I would have killed my worthless self. That's just how it is. See how powerful this is, man? It's powerful stuff. Does anybody have anything to share here? You want to share something? Go ahead.
When I walked into the church back in '94, I didn't really know what a Christian was and what to be one, right? But I started listening to the service, started coming to church, started talking to people. And really what you're doing when you talk to people and you take the focus up yourself. Because I was a coke addict.
You were what?
A coke addict. So I took the focus off myself and I focused myself on the Lord. And that's been 30 years ago, right? And I give God all the glory, for all those years that He's kept me alive. Because the world doesn't care for you. And the thing is, when you start caring for somebody else, you're not only helping them, you're helping yourself. Because there's something that happens inside your heart when you're doing that, and that keeps you going forward all the time. Bible studies, fellowship with the people, cleanest fellowship, right? The concerts that we have. This church has a lot to offer, and that's what has kept me going for all these years. And I thank God for that.
Yeah.
So you're in the right place, man.
No, and it's interesting. One of the things that I'm going to start doing, most of you don't know this, I told you I'm doing a lot of research on addiction and recovery. Because finding the solution to recovery is not easy. And I've come to some realizations, and that in order to recover from whether it be addiction, mental health, depression, starting a new life after prison, it doesn't matter. In order to recover, in order to move forward, there's 3 things you have to do. Let's just call it, in order to recover, you have to do 3 things. Number 1, you have to admit that let me say this really as easy as I can, that you are the problem. Not the drugs, not the alcohol, because I believe that we've been asking the wrong question. What is the problem? That'll come. But the first question you should ask yourself is, or answer, or admit, is that I am the problem. You. This is why I put this little monito right here. Who's the problem? Me. Once you can admit that, now we can move on through the recovery process. The next question we should ask is, what is your problem? And I believe that in the recovery world, we've left out that little piece. We're always focused on the problem. No. Let's ask first, who's the problem? You have to answer that question. Because if you don't answer that question, you already started. Ya comenzaste mal. Ahí vas a andar perdido. This has been my experience. Yes, sir.
I just want to say that's kind of. I've thought about it the same way like you thought about it, and the way I thought about it was. There's Alcoholic Anonymous, there's Cocaine Anonymous, there's all kinds of anonymous, right? And they say, look, my problem is alcohol, my problem is cocaine, and so forth. So I came up with this, like you're saying, alcohol does not have any arms, doesn't have no eyes. It's just a tangible item.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's it. It doesn't, it's just a bottle. It is legal. Cocaine is just a powder. So I haven't found a group where it's called, is there any groups here? Because I know I'm the problem. So are there any groups called, are there any groups called Self-Anonymous? Is there a group here in the Valley called Self-Anonymous?
No, it's called Choose the Change.
Because that's the problem. No. There's AA, Cocaine Anonymous, but is there a Self-Anonymous around here?
So with that in mind, because I know that what you've been studying, brother, so keep this in mind. Tell me if I'm not I'm not on the right road here, because I'll be teaching this. First you ask, who's the problem? I'm the problem. Once you can ask that, once you have the who, the next question is a what. You have to be able to say, I have a drug problem. I have a mind battle problem. I have a lust problem. Whatever it is. And for most of us, there's several things that's wrong with us. We're twisted individuals. Serious. Who knows what I'm talking about? Thank you. Once you, man, I'm going to get into this, man. I'm telling you, bro. Let me just get rid of all this. I told you I was going to give you some perspective because I want to close with this. I'm talking about the solution to recovery, to change. You have to ask who first. Once you get that, the next question is what? What? So once we have that, we have admitted. Boom. Number one. Number two, what's the next? There's three parts to this. You need to surrender. Surrender. Does surrender have two R's? You have to surrender. Surrender to, what are you surrendering? Your life. What? Your life. You have to give up. Anybody get arrested before? You know how they put those handcuffs on you? That's called surrender. Of course, that's forced. You have to cuff yourself. You have to surrender. There is no other solution, but I don't care what anybody says. So I hope there's a psychologist or a doctor listening to me so he can come tell me what I'm saying wrong. You have to surrender. Personally? So, surrender to what? Okay, let's talk about it. AA, a doctor. I mean, what do you want to surrender to? Either way, you got to surrender. The way I put it in here is you're going to bow. We're all going to bow. You will bow. I promise you will bow. We'll bow to drugs, we'll bow to alcohol, we'll bow to pornography, we're going to bow to a judge, but we will bow. I understood that. I came to that conclusion. I came to that realization. But you're going to bow to something. I tell people, if you don't, go to AA. Go to counseling. Here's what I believe you surrender to Jesus Christ. That's what I believe. Some people say, well, I don't believe that. Well, go to AA then. But you're not going to change until you surrender. Period. Number 3. And here's where I really wanted to get to, because you need to do this. It doesn't matter what program you go to. Am I right or wrong, brother? It doesn't matter. But here's the key. And I'm going to be teaching this to family members, by the way. I'm going to tell them, if he's not doing this, he's not changing. I'm going to give you up. Commit. That's it, brother. That's the key. Admit, surrender, and commit. Commit to what? To what we've been talking about on how to change your mind. You have to commit to the process. You have to commit to God. You have to commit. You have to keep coming. You have to get involved. You have to commit. That's it. And the reason I came up with this is because of what you just said. Not because I've already learned this. It took me years to figure this out, but the reason I brought it up now is because of what you just said. I believe our church, the Door Church, we have a lot to offer you. There's a lot. There's a program. There's the sermons. There's Bible studies. There's concerts. There's opportunity to get involved. There's building relationships. This is what we need. But you need to commit. That's it, brother. That's it, guys. There's no other solution. There's no high-priced counseling. There's no high-priced doctor. There's no high-priced rehab center that's going to change you and it didn't matter. This is the answer. And those of you that have been involved in rehab and counseling, how many can you see this? Is this true or no? It's true. And so then the key ingredient, brother, or the key element that got me here was because I've been teaching this for years. And I've been wondering, con tanta ayuda que hay, there was probably people that went to that parole office, no, that offered help to. Who else went? Do you remember? NA and you listen, I can tell you, you know, NAAA, they can help you stay sober, but you have to do this. You have to commit. There's no other way. You have to work the steps. You have to commit. You have to commit. That's it. And so then I'm so grateful that God gave me this opportunity to do what I'm doing. Because someone might debate me. I don't mind. So what do you know? You're just an ex-loser, drug addict, alcoholic, ex-con. Here's what I say to that. You better ask somebody. If you don't know about me, you better ask somebody. Brother? It's powerful. So let me close. Anybody have any questions? And I'll close with this. How setting of your personal philosophy, your personal mindset is like the setting of the sails. Yes, sir. Man, this was a good class. I learned a lot.
Yeah, brother, one of the things that you touched on, and which was one of the things that I still deal with every day, was pride.
Pride.
Yeah, pride is one of the biggest things where up to this day I have to surrender every day because I just, like you said, there's something wicked that it's in all of us, and I didn't realize it then, but now as I'm starting to like be a new man in through Jesus, right? Because that's where he said that the old man is dead, right? Because that's what we crucify him every day, and the new man through Jesus Christ is born, right? But I realized that all those those difficulties, because I had to force myself, right, is something really wicked trying to come against our lives, because it doesn't want our families being impacted by our lives too. Because if you really think about it, if we change us, it's kind of pretty impossible, right? Like you said, believing in the impossible. Then our families could get touched by and impacted by that too, and who knows how many other people, right?
And they can, but because, man, some people, I think I have maybe people, I don't know, family members maybe that might say, "Oh, you think you know it all." I don't know it all. But I'm like that blind man that Jesus healed. Right? Love that story, man. I'm like that blind man that Jesus healed. The Pharisees asked him, "Who healed you?" It was Jesus. No, there's no way. Jesus, he's a sinner. He's no good. Because they didn't like Jesus. They said, "Man, I'm telling you, all he did is clean my eyes and I can see." No, okay, Jesus no puede. It's not Jesus. That's not your faith. It's impossible. No, we don't believe that. And he said, I don't know. I don't care what you call him or who you think he is. All I know is that I was blind. I was lost. I was out of control. I was one twisted individual until I gave my life to Jesus Christ and he set me free. That's what I did. Did it happen overnight? No. It's a process. Yes, sir.
Just real quick, Rolando, I wanted to say, earlier you mentioned about tell me who you hang around with and I'll tell you what you're going to become. In the Bible it says, in a multitude of counsel, there's safety.
That's Proverbs.
So, yes, when you hang around with positive people, I mean, they keep, some of the brothers, they hold you accountable. I got some brothers, they hold me accountable.
Yeah.
They, checking up on me and this and that. And I reach out to them, because sometimes I get overwhelmed. So that's my support group that I'm putting together. certain friends, ¿verdad? But I want to say that somebody asked me when I came out of prison, what are you going to do when you get out, right?
Hmm.
So the only thing that I said, look, I'm just going to build relationships,
Wow.
build trust, and that's it. So I'm still working on it. I'm still building trust, building relationships. It takes time, you know, to put that support system together.
Yep.
You know, and then some will not, some will fall away, but you know what? You just keep moving forward.
You got to keep on moving forward.
You know, but there's safety because see, in the church community, I believe very strongly. you got some attorneys in here. You got bail bondsmen in here sometimes in some churches. You get all kinds of people. You need a car, boom. There's people that work in car lots or whatever. You need a job. There's a job. So we all help each other, and there's safety in it.
Yeah.
You need a ride to go to church to change. Somehow, I think when I was going to get a van, or you got a couple of buses, I don't know. But
coming.
anyways,
It's coming.
yeah, there should be no reason. You just keep striving forward.
Yep. Yeah. You know, it's interesting. You said the word overwhelmed. You ought to listen to, was it Sunday? That pastor preached on that? I think it was Sunday night. Was it Wednesday? Burned out. That was Wednesday? Yesterday, right? You got to check it out. He talked about being burned out. And you might want to listen to that because it's because I know you're going through a lot of things and I'm really proud of you, man. You're doing great. But don't get burned out. Don't get overwhelmed. Anybody else want to say something? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Talk to us, Angel.
Okay, well, I kind of wanted to say something about what you just said, but I would say that I got burned out, but in a different point of view.
Okay.
And for me, for my surrender, because I realized that those 3 steps right there were important to me to even attempt to even be here. I would say that I would have to hit my rock bottom and to be pretty much like overwhelmed with the stuff that I was doing to finally say, you know what, I've had enough.
Yeah.
This is a problem, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm kind of just going off of what you said, and I'd say that you're hitting it right on point. Like, there's nothing else to it but that, and and sometimes it's good to get overwhelmed maybe in the stuff that you were doing, because God said that He's the stone that got tossed to the side, and the only way for you to find that stone again is to dig yourself in the hole and hit rock bottom. You know what I mean? So I think that that's like really, really important for you to finally admit and surrender. So usually it takes like a lot of something for you to finally be tired of it. You know
So let me ask you a question. Are you glad you came today?
Oh yeah, of course. You know, I'm glad anything that has to do with making myself a better person, I'm all for it.
There you go. Well, I'm glad you came.
Yes, I'm glad to be
Glad
here.
you came. Yeah. I'm gonna close with a reading from one of my favorite business philosopher named Jim Rohn. This kind of stuff is what really would wire me up when I'd read things like this. It took me years. I remember I used to read stuff like this, and I'm like, I'd have to slow it down. Like, I didn't understand what he was saying. It was like too much for me. But he's talking about how we think. Listen to what he says. Because he says that life is like the setting of the sails. He says, in the process of living, the winds of circumstances, life, blow on us all in an unending flow that touches each of our lives. He says, we have all experienced the blowing winds of disappointment, despair, heartache, prison, drug addiction. You fill in the blank. He says, why then would each of us in our own individual ship, barco, boat, ship of life, why would we arrive in such different places? Why did you have to go to prison? Why didn't he go to prison? Why is he doing better than you are? What? That's what he's saying. Why is it that we all arrive in different points? Why did he finally make it and I didn't? Why did that guy die of an overdose but you didn't? That's what he's asking. He said, why is it? He says, I believe that what guides us, he says, is the to different destinations in life is determined, he says, by how we have chosen to set ourselves. He's saying, we're like a ship in the ocean, and we have to learn to set sails. Listen to what he says. He says, and the way each of us thinks makes a major difference in where we will arrive. So what he's saying is that the sails are how you think. He said the major difference is the set of the sails, our thinking. He said the same circumstances happen to us all. We all have disappointments. We all have challenges. We all have things that are stopping us. That's what he says. He says, but the set of the sail, how you think and how you respond, listen to this, has a greater capacity to destroy you than any challenges that you face. Let me repeat that. He says, how you set your sails, or how you think and how you respond to these challenges of life, has a greater capacity, how you respond, has a greater capacity to destroy our lives than any circumstances that you might face. Because it's how you think. It's how you respond. Are you going to give up? Are you going to just forget it? Or are you going to keep pressing on? Are you going to just surrender? Are you just going to, I give up. God help me. That's what we need to do. He says once we discipline ourselves to understand these things, what I'm just saying, we will finally and willingly conclude that the greatest challenge of life is to control the process of our thinking, which is what I'm trying to help you out with here. He says learning to set better sails with the changing winds rather than permitting ourselves to be blown in the direction we don't want to go. Purposely choosing requires the development of a new discipline. This is what I'm trying to teach you here. You have to develop this, keep coming, get involved, build relationships. It involves going to work on and establishing a powerful mindset that will help you influence you in a positive way all that we do and that we think and that we decide. If we can succeed in this worthy endeavor, he's talking about our thinking, the results will be a changed life, or a change in the course of outcome, results, lifestyle, and relationships. If we can alter the way we think, the way we judge, the way we decide upon the main issues of life, then we can drastically change our lives. I had to slow that down a lot. This is how you change your life, guys. It's a process. And if you're ready, I'm ready. So, I want to give a shout out to, I think she's always watches us online. She's here, she always comments. We need forgiveness daily, she says. What else she says? She says, we don't want to hate the heat and the demons scary. To my daughter, she says, complains about this all the time. You're right, but we must not give up. So don't give up. Don't give up. Anybody have anything here to say? Sure. Next week, I'm going to do the last part. By the way, I'm going to pass around the donation bucket. I always pass around the donation bucket. And talking about donations, let me tell you what I've done. This year, I just had a board meeting with some of our board members from our Choose a Change Foundation. There's a lot of people that believe in us, support us. And March next month, we're having a barbecue plate sale to raise money next month. So that's in 4 weeks. So asambre. So we're always raising money. Like next week, I'm going to a prison, and that's what raising money does. It takes me to the prison where I can go share. I'm going to the Ferguson unit again for the second time. That's where I was 40 years ago. 40 years ago. That sounds crazy. I was in Ferguson unit. That's where I started. I'm going to go back there to speak. And so the raising money is what the money's for, so that we can do things with people. But one of the things that I'll be doing, and let me just present it to you guys here so you can start praying about it and believing for it, is my dream is that I've always wanted to open a men's home, a support group, a support men's home. Okay? And it takes a lot of money to do that. And I have an ideas, I have how to run it, I know what to do, but we don't have the finances. So what I've done is I've started a fund. Let me give you just an idea of how much money it will take me to run a home for 1 year. $500,000. So if you have it, Leon, let me know. $500,000. What I did is I opened a savings account, because it sounds like an impossible, right, thing. It sounds like an impossible thing. It may be, but I'm going to believe for it. If it doesn't happen in a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, I don't know. But when it does happen, I've already started a fund, and I personally gave $1,000 and put it in there. I started it. And so I'm going to start promoting this to people everywhere I go, everywhere I speak, that I need $500,000 to run a home for 1 year with 6 men with a van to be able to take them back and forth, with a home manager, and me teaching and running that home for 1 year. It costs right at $500,000. I've had the numbers. I've been researching this for years, guys. I know. And we're lacking that here in the valley. There's no real home. There's no place, right? There is none. There's a couple of places, but they're needed. So that people coming out of prison, people coming out of rehab, people who want to change their lives, because they're going to be requirements. You're not going to just come up with, I've been around the block once or twice. But if you want to change your life, just like I teach in here, that's the same challenge you're going to do in that home. And we're going to have more men and more people. And I believe it's going to work. So keep that in prayer, guys. I'm going to buy some shirts, some of these shirts, some more going to the top shirts. So I'm going to probably put them on that wall so people can start to support us, buy them. A lot of great things happening. So I appreciate you guys coming. Thank you for being here. Keep believing in the impossible. God bless you.